The project to have the bighorn sheep installation at La Nube kind of came about from me doing workshops at Franklin Mountain State Park, where they were discussing the reintroduction of the bighorn sheep. I just thought it was a really cool thing. It wasn't anything I had known about until those workshops. And then we were approached by La Nube to do an installation piece focusing on anti-pollution month and something with recycling through Green Hope Project. And so I thought, well, why not make this more relevant to what's going on locally instead of just, anti-pollution month? Everybody knows about that. Why don't we also tie it into something that can also help with animal conservation? And so then talks began to marry the two ideas together.
The agency is planning later this year to bring a number of bighorn sheep from the herd in Elephant Mountain, a wildlife management area, and translocate them onto the property here at Franklin Mountain State Park. We're hoping to establish a new herd out here in Franklin Mountain State Park to kind of serve as kind of like a brood stock for the state. They've been here for thousands of years. They're one of our kind of big charismatic native wildlife species. However, due to ranching activities as well as over hunting and unregulated hunting, they actually were extirpated from the state by 1960. And then the state started this program to bring them back. However, in the last several years, we've had a couple really big herd die-offs because of a bacteria that causes pneumonia, basically, in the sheep. And so they've been concerned and they've been looking for new places to establish the herds, specifically away from these invasive African goat species called aoudad or Barbary sheep, who are carriers of the disease but do not succumb to it themselves. And Franklin Mountain State Park turned out to be one of the last remaining mountain ranges that has really great bighorn sheep habitat that does not have any aoudad on it. Furthermore, since we're surrounded by the city of El Paso, that kind of acts as a barrier to prevent aoudad that are living out further east from coming up to the mountain range. So it looked like a really great opportunity. But part of why we're doing so much outreach is because we don't want this to just be a project where we come in and we're gonna put sheep on this mountain and that's at the end of it. We want the people in El Paso to really fall in love with these sheep and take them as their own, because it's a really special project to be able to bring them back to this place.
La Nube has been tasked to make the vegetation for an art installation that we plan on having in our lobby later on this month. And that art installation is going to be completely made out of recycled materials, primarily cardboard, and it'll depict a bighorn sheep.
Candy from Green Hope Project reached out to me, and she had attended some of our workshop days. So we had some public information days so that people could come and learn about the bighorn sheep and the project to bring them out to the park. And she was really excited about it. And so she contacted me and said, hey, we want to do this art installation. We'd like you to partner with it. So she reached out to me. I was like, this sounds great. I love it. Let's do it.
So from the start, La Nube had reached out to us to do the installation. And then Green Hope Project, we just thought the tie-in to Texas Park and Wildlife made sense. And then we just reached out to kind of have this educational component so that the kids could also be a part of this rather than us just hog all the fun. It could also be educational and the kids could have their hands in it, and that's an experience that they'll remember forever. So then we reached out to teachers in Socorro ISD and Ysleta ISD to be a part of the creation of the materials.
After we went to La Nube and saw the area where we were going to be doing the install, I thought really quickly on my feet about some of the things that I'd like to incorporate and did a quick sketch, and we met with some of the people that work at La Nube. We very quickly came up with a mountain range that we wanted to include some vegetation, and I wanted to feature a bighorn, which is what we're working on right now.
Well, we're working with Katie from Parkland High School, and she's creating one huge bighorn. We're given basically three and a half weeks to do this project so that we could have it ready to be opened by September 28th. There's a plastic bottle in here. A lot of the stuff that we use is recyclable materials. There's just a bottle in here that's been twisted There's some newspaper wrapped around there, and then the paper clay that's on here is a different combination of office shreddings and some other newspaper being liquefied and put in a blender, and then wrapped with craft paper. The students are right now, they're creating basically a mountain out of cardboard and craft paper. We're putting it together. Then when we get there, we will assemble the mountain all together in one big piece, which is 19 foot by 4 foot wide and 6 feet. Yeah, and then we'll insert these into the mountain. There's also gonna have a little base to hold it up.
Today our students were working on creating a replica of an ocotilla plant using recyclable materials and agave plants. Right now we're using recyclable materials such as cardboard and paper and a little bit of glue and love.
It's important that projects like this obviously take place in the community because it's relevant and it's more meaningful, and the message doesn't get, it doesn't slip away. And it's meaningful to involve the community in that because students especially, they learn from doing. So you can lecture, you can do a social media post, people may or may not see it, but once you get the kids involved, not only do they have their hands in it and that becomes something that they carry with them forever, but then they tell their families about it. And so it's not just about doing something one and done, it's about kind of changing the culture of our city and changing, the way that kids in this next generation think, because they will inherit this.
We can start educating about recycling at a very young age, and I have been really pleasantly surprised to find out how much these little ones know about recycling.
This is not for just me. I'm gonna get to see the beginning of it, but I'll never see how it blossoms. And and you'll probably see more of the blossoming of it. And if you decide to have children, your children will definitely see the blossoming of it.
I'm grateful whenever we can marry the idea of any educational institutions, artistic communities, and environmental communities when they can get to know more about each other because they have different skills that I think they can benefit from being a team. And so hopefully these collaborations will continue in the future.